Good evening, Amudar Pratap Singh. You're watching NewsX. You're watching, in fact, our special shows, Second Wave Superheroes. We are recognizing individuals as well as organizations who've stepped up to help people across the country as India battles this COVID-19 pandemic. Our first guest today is Gitanjali Chopra. She's distributed free food, provided ambulance services pan-India, and also helped transgender community as they face social stigma amidst this raging pandemic.
As the devastation ramped up in the peak of the second COVID wave, founder of Wishes and Blessings, Dr. Gitanjali Chopra took on the task to help people. She distributed free food, provided ambulance services across India. She helped number of transgender people as they faced the most brunt. No social stigma or raging pandemic could stop her. NewsX proudly recognizes second wave superhero Gitanjali Chopra.
Hello and welcome, and as part of NewsX's very special series, today I've been joined by Gitanjali Chopra, who is the founder of Wishes and Blessings. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
To begin with, ma'am, tell us something about your work, the kind of work you did during the second wave.
The Wishes and Blessings COVID relief effort is basically based on three main verticals. The first vertical is nutritional support, under which we provide cooked food and ration kits across India. Cooked food is provided in Delhi, in Bihar, and in Tamil Nadu. And ration kits, which are good enough for a family of 5 for a period of 2 weeks, and then they're repeated every 2 weeks, are being distributed in Delhi, in Jharkhand, West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu, and Rajasthan. So this is the first vertical. The second vertical is based on medical assistance. A lot of shelter homes, Rain Baseras, small institutions, orphanages, etc., at least in the capital, surprisingly had no access to basic medical supplies at the beginning of the second wave. When I'm talking about medical supplies, I don't mean oxygen or oxygen concentrators, but very basic things such as an oximeter or thermometer or paracetamol for that matter. So the second vertical essentially involves, making these basic things accessible to all. So in addition to these, masks, sanitizers, soaps are also being distributed. So this involves the hygiene and medical supplies kit, which is being distributed. The third vertical is the ambulance service. As we all know, during the first couple of weeks, there was a huge dearth of ambulances, and the prices knew no bounds. People were asking whatever they wanted for an ambulance service. And this was the reason for the third vertical of Wishes and Blessings COVID relief. We ran, and we still ran, 2 ambulances throughout Delhi, which are loaded with oxygen and attendants. And these are free of cost ambulances, which are available for anybody who calls us, and we're there to help. So these are the 3 main verticals that we're looking at during the second wave.
All right, Gitanjali, and since you said that your work is spread pan-India in different small states like Bihar and all, so what are the kind of challenges you faced?
I think the biggest challenge we faced is that of field work. Given the fact that Corona itself is such a big challenge for all of us, coordinating and implementing field work, which is the need of the hour, is the biggest challenge. For starters, I myself am based in Delhi, and it's not physically possible for me to venture out of Delhi. Even within Delhi, my movement is pretty restricted. And to kind of reach out, help people on the field, you need to be on the field. And you cannot coordinate this movement. And the other thing is that, most field workers and social workers have this little kira in them. When you go out to the field, you go out on all fours. You help people no matter what. And I think the challenge for me has been to kind of hold back my team from going in altogether. people will not, my people will not care if they're nicely equipped, if their glove is torn or something else is happening, because the only thing they want to do is help. So sometimes, it becomes very, very difficult to hold back the team. And I think managing and coordinating relief efforts have been the biggest challenge.
All right. So, Gitanjali, tell us something about the people that you have helped. Have they ever reverted back to you? How does it feel?
I think the people whom we've helped, we've not ever differentiated between anyone. Anybody and everybody who needs help, we try and help them. There've been very heartwarming stories when, people call back. They make an effort to reach out to you either through a phone call or through an email or through an Instagram message. And it's just the blessings. One thing that really stands out for me is a conversation between the head of a transgender community, in Delhi. And to my utter horror, I was told that the transgender community was being denied aid because of their gender. And how this call came, and we've overnight facilitated a drive for them. 80 of them were given ration kits, and they've been provided the same for almost 6 months now. And the kind of blessings that came back and kind of sentiments that came have been completely, I have no words to explain those. And it's not just people here, it's like, people in remote villages who call back to say something. Just the other day, I got this call and I thought it was a distress call, because the person on the other hand was on the other side of the call, was literally, screaming, not screaming, or it was just so overwhelmingly, he had tears and he was just babbling off, and it was not Bengali, it sounded like Bengali. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand what it was. And after 2 minutes, my coordinator in Bengal, Father Edwin, took the phone and he said, this is somebody we've been helping, and he actually wanted to thank you personally. So obviously I couldn't understand the connect, but it just felt so special that, sitting way, way away from Burdwan district in West Bengal, people actually, feel that, we are there and they reach out. So it's a very rewarding sentiment, but of course, we don't work for rewards or, for appreciation, but it does feel good.
Yes, definitely. I think it must have felt great. And thank you so much, Gitanjali, or rather, I would say Dr. Gitanjali, for joining us on the broadcast. And it was great talking to you. Thank you.
My pleasure, completely. Thank you.
And our next guest today is Rashmi Chandra. She started an initiative called Extra Portions, a neighborhood sharing network to provide meals to home-isolated COVID-affected families. Listen.
Amid the raging second wave of COVID in the country, a management consultant by profession, Rashmi Chandra started a neighborhood sharing network. Extra Portions is a volunteer-based distributed kitchen support system that provides free meals to COVID patients. She has helped over 70 to 80 families in the past few months. NewsX proudly recognizes second wave superhero Rashmi Chandra.
Hello and welcome. You're joining us on a special show, NewsX Second COVID Wave Superheroes. Now, amid this unprecedented pandemic, especially during the second wave that has hit us, a lot of people are coming forth and helping each other in whichever ways possible. One such person is with us today, Rashmi Pandey. She has started a venture of tiffin services for COVID patients. Welcome on the show, ma'am.
Hi, very nice to be here and be with you all.
So, ma'am, tell us how and when did you start the venture?
So, again, my name is Rashmi Chandra. I'm also Rashmi Chandra Pandey. And I call my venture something called Extra Portions. And just to clarify, it's not really a tiffin services. What we are doing is volunteer-based distributed kitchen support system for free COVID meals. What we So essentially, just to give you a background about how we started was that, when the second wave started hitting, and, by the time I started realizing how big this proportion was, a lot of the numbers which were on television were actually now names and faces to me. People around me were, my relatives, my friends, and the whole family was going down. And I realized, some of us, we friends, we got together, we started sending meals to each other. But I realized that this is a problem which is affecting lots of people. A lot of people need, when in the second wave, what happened was that it wasn't just one person who was falling sick. It was the entire family which was falling sick. 4 people, 5 people, elders, children, everybody was falling sick. And there was nobody essentially just taking care of themselves, was totally sapping them of their energy, talking to doctors, the anxiety and so on. So I realized one of the things that we can do, which they did not bother about, is basically home cooked nutritious meals. So I said that what can I do? I started feeling very restless, and I said, okay, let me see if I made a small post and saying, if anybody needs homemade meals, contact this number, and put my number out there. I got 2-3 people contacting me. So on 22nd, I started sending meals from my house. Then I put out another post. I said, I can't do this alone. I need more hands, So I started enrolling volunteers. So basically, where I started was that on between 22nd April to 24th April, 3 volunteers came in, 5 recipient families knocked on our, and it was basically through social media that we were putting this message out. But within a week, Manjari, what happened was that, the number started getting flashed. It started, being put in different forums, covidmeals.org, it got listed there. And suddenly I was reaching a different scale. So I started up my volunteer enrollment, and you won't believe it. And within a week's time, we had close to 60 volunteer families, homes like yours and mine, who were willing to cook. And what was my ask? My ask was, if you're willing to cook for one family over 5-6 days, just opt in. I will help you through this process. And, I just try to make it easy for the volunteer families to do this. So you could cook for as many days, you could cook as many meals. And what I did was then I started kind of, using a kind of a process and a system to map the people who were wanting the food to my volunteers. And, I would basically get some calls saying that, okay, we are a family of 4, we are a family of 5, and we need meals. And I would then look for a volunteer which was close by, and I would fit them in, I would connect them. And then that volunteer essentially adopted that recipient family for 10 days, 14 days, sending meals, understanding what the requirement was. And that's how it just kept building. And today we have sent close to 5,000 meals starting 22nd April. So that's the journey, small little thing that we've been able to do, largely in Gurgaon. Try to do a little bit in Noida and Ghaziabad also, and Delhi also, so I think we just harness the spirit of giving in the community. That's what I've done. I feel there is a lot of giving which exists, people are wanting to do. It just needs a turbine which can just channelize it, and that's all I did. I just channelized it, and there's a lot of giving which is there. And in this time, it helped.
Right. Speaking about the volunteers, you said like a lot of volunteers actually come forth. So especially since this is for COVID patients, what measures are the volunteers taking? What measures are you taking in terms of, sanitization, in terms of if you've been giving them any PPE kits, or what measures are being taken?
So, these are essentially non-commercial kitchens. These are kitchens which are kitchens of, so we are not cooking in bulk. We are cooking for just one family. So therefore, the hygiene that they're maintaining is the hygiene that they're maintaining for their own home, because it's just like that how you would cook for a guest. So yes, the standard measure that you're taking at your own home. My packaging material that I'm procuring is from a registered vendor, so that the packaging is sanitized. And I use basically Swiggy Genie is helping us to do the delivery, and they are really supporting us. So it's just like the support of a lot of, other external systems which has helped. So in terms of hygiene, it's the food that how you maintain the hygiene, that's the hygiene that we're extending. And, it just worked beautifully. And what we also do is that we try and my volunteers try and understand what the family's requirement is. Is there a child in the family? Is there an old person in the family? Is there a diabetic in the family? So it's not like a standard, bulk tiffin system. It's a very from the heart, from one home to another home. Really, it's just that. Just and when a volunteer feels like pausing because there's some issues or they're tired or they can't cook, I remap that family to somebody else, and it just that other family then picks up the baton and runs with it for a few days. And so that's how it works. If it's a large family, then I try and break up the lunch and dinner between two volunteer families. And that's how it's worked. And you'll be happy to know, Manjari, that actually just to cheer up my volunteers who've been working so hard, we have had a lot of home bakers and Krishi Cress and people like that who are just, supporting setting up some cheer up goodies for our volunteers. So I think it's just getting, a lot of systems are getting connected. I'm myself amazed at where I have, where this journey has brought us, and I think we are ready to take on the next step because, wherever the need is, we'll be able to go there right now. That's the confidence I feel on the back of just the volunteers backing this whole thing up, never saying no, picking up the last minute dropouts if it is happening. It's just wonderful, the spirit which has made this happen. That's all I can see.
Also, up until now, approximately how many families have you served? How many people are actually contacting you at this point of time?
So we would have done close to 5,000 meals because, that's the number. We would have helped about, different family sizes. We would have helped about maybe 70, 80 families, some for 5 days, some for 8 days, some for 14 days, some longer. So that's how it's working.
Right.
And sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
And it's for everybody. Our help is for anybody who needs, irrespective of class, caste, where are they from, and that's how it works. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining with us, and especially thank you for your service that you're doing. We wish you a very good luck.
Thank you so much for having me here. Really a pleasure. Thank you.
Our final guest for the day today is Mansi Bansal. She's volunteered to source oxygen cylinders, ICU beds, and also created awareness to donate blood amidst the COVID-19 crisis to save lives. Take a look.
As the devastation ramped up in the peak of the second COVID wave, an entrepreneur by profession, Mansi Bansal took on the task to help people. She donated blood plasma and also volunteered to find oxygen cylinders, ICU beds to those in need. Even the raging pandemic could not stop her. NewsX proudly recognizes second wave superhero Mansi Bansal.
Hello and welcome. I'm Prerna Shandelia, and as part of NewsX's very special series, Second Wave Superhero, today I have been joined by Mansi Bansal, who is an entrepreneur and has also worked throughout the second COVID wave to help people as a volunteer. Welcome, Mansi, to our show.
Thank you.
Okay, to begin with, Mansi, tell us something about your work as an entrepreneur and also the kind of work you have done throughout the second wave.
So I'm basically from Indore. That's an MP. What the situation is here is very bad. Actually, very bad. So we were doing our business as always, but then the lockdown happened and everything got shut. So I am a restaurant owner here, a small restaurant. We opened 3 months back. So all our employees had to go. Nobody was coming. We tried to help as much as we we can and we could as an organization, as a company, but we really couldn't go anywhere. So I thought that मैं अपने end पर help करूँगी, and I registered myself as a donor, as a blood and plasma donor on several websites. I started getting calls. Somebody was like, "Ma'am, आप please Ujjain आ जाओ. Ma'am, please, आप, Ujjain is a nearby city here. So they were like, आप इधर आ जाओ. Please help us here." The second call I got was from this girl, Shalini. She had his parents admitted to a hospital and they were very serious and they needed blood. So I contacted them and we arranged a meeting in the morning, and in the morning I went there. That was my first donation, and I had never donated blood or plasma or any kind of thing. I am terrified of hospitals and needles. I never went. So that was my first encounter, you may say. So I went there with my brother and we donated. I made him donate as well. So that is how it all got started. So that was my first interaction with a COVID patient and his family. And after donation, they were so happy. They were treating me like a deity or something. They touched my feet and they were crying, "कि आपने हमारी जान बचा ली, please." And that moved me to tears. मतलब we hugged and all. And then उनको बोला, नहीं कोई tension नहीं है, it's all gonna be okay. Call me if you need anything. But what happened was, I came back home. I slept it off because we cried a lot. I slept it off. Then I kept getting calls. कि आप donate कर दोगे, please donate. We need it. यहाँ चाहिए, वहाँ चाहिए. So all I used to say was, I am a donor, but I've already donated. But I'll try and arrange it for you. So that is how it began. So I started posting requirements and requests on Facebook, on Twitter. I got in touch with a few NGO owners here, the few volunteers, and that is how our network grew. So currently, me and my friends and other volunteers, we have 5 to 6 groups consisting of 200, 300 volunteers each. And now what we do is we get requests on a daily basis, and that is how we prioritize it. That who is in dire need, what's the criticality of the patient, and accordingly we search for donors. We arrange medicines and anything, any amenities that they might need.
All right, Mansi.
So that is how it began.
Yeah. So also tell us something about the kind of challenges you faced here, since you said you were a blood donor and also you did other services to people. So what are the kind of challenges that you faced?
The biggest challenge was to actually convince people to come and donate, because there's this taboo in India that if we go out, then we'll catch COVID. They won't live hygienically in their own houses. They won't follow any guidelines of lockdown when they go out and roam around the city. But as soon as you ask them to donate or to help a COVID patient, they get so scared that no, we won't come to a hospital. We won't go to a lab. We are already very scared. Abhi to humne recover kiya hai. We won't go out. So that is our biggest challenge. We may fight with anything that we come across, but to convince a donor, a potential donor, to actually come and donate is the biggest challenge.
All right. Okay, Mansi. And also tell me something, if these people that you have helped, have they ever reverted back to you with, messages? How does it feel when they come back to you?
It is like you are saving a family. Literally, as Indians, we have this deep-rooted feeling of family, of emotions, of love, togetherness. So when you actually help someone and they connect it all and they are like, "Mama, aapne hamari family bata," you can never hear a compliment greater than that. Nothing gives you much satisfaction than that. वो हो जाता है, वो end का हो जाता है. लगता है आज का हो गया हमारा. We did something. So there was this girl whose mother, she was a single mother and she was admitted in a hospital. Teenage daughter, ठीक है, अकेली लड़की, she was petrified. She didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do. So from the website, she got my number and called me at 2 at night, 2 a.m. at night. I was so in sleep and I was like, हाँ आप बताइए क्या problem है. So I never take calls in night, but अभी क्योंकि पिछला महीने से we are doing this, so I generally try to take as many calls as I can. So she was like, "Ma'am, please बहुत जरूरी है, डॉक्टर ने बोला है." एक तो डॉक्टर डरा देते हैं, डॉक्टर जो सिचुएशन बताते हैं, वी टेक इट 2 steps ahead ourselves. बहुत बहुत terrible condition and we need it. So that is how the girl was. She was scared and we were like, no, आप tension मत लो, we'll come to you tomorrow and we'll figure it out. So we went tomorrow, we went the next day there, and the girl hugged and cried. She cried like for a good half an hour. And then we got all the documents for her mother and we searched for a donor. And by the evening, we could finally arrange a donor for her. And the donation happened, the process was completed. And the doctor, 2 days or 3 days later, the doctor said that she is okay. She could go home in another 2 or 3 days. Now the girl was so happy. She called me every day. उसका सुबह से काम था. She had one thing from in the morning. She'd wake up and she'd call. दियाज मम्मा की तबीयत ठीक हो गई. दियाज मम्मा ने ये खाया. दियाज ऐसा हो गया. She was so happy. And then she was, she was motivating her friends. आप भी donate करो. Call this Dee. She'll help you with everything and anything. She'll come to you. So that is how people are. They are so generous and so loving. So some people are really nice. They actually make you when you try to help anyone.
Definitely, Mansi. Also, tell us what inspired you to actually take up such a big challenge that, it's not just that you say that you're helping people, you actually have to go out there in this pandemic and help people. So what inspired you?
The patient's relative, that daughter that I went to and donated for. When she hugged me, she whispered in my ears, "Di, mere papa ko kuch ho jata to main ji nahi pati." And I cried. After that, I cried. I am a tomboy, okay? I am my father's daughter. I loved it. उस दिन I thought, boss, अगर ये नहीं किया, if you didn't do this, then all your education, all the morals that you hold so tightly to, they are useless.
Definitely.
They don't mean anything. If you can go out and save a family, save a person's life, nothing is bigger than that.
Definitely.
That is the greatest achievement one could have in her life.
All right.
So that is all I wanted to do.
Yes, thank you so much, Mansi, for joining us. It was great chatting with you and getting to know your work, and all the very best for your future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.